Good morning, guys. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. It's the 25th of June, which is a Wednesday, and this is your daily market outlook. So we're going to be covering a lot of major pairs, as always today, and going over what has been happening in the markets and what we can predict to happen going forward. So before we do get into the charts, as always, I just want to quickly share my screen and let people know that the content on this channel is for educational purposes only. I am not a financial advisor, and nothing shared in my videos should be considered financial or investment or trading advice. Trading and investing involves risk, and you should always conduct your own research before making any financial decisions. And any past performances discussed does not guarantee future results. So understand that you are responsible for your own financial decisions. Okay, let's get straight into, let me get rid of that, to the charts. So going over today, we're gonna, one second, it's not shared. One second, one sec. Okay, there we go. So going over today, it is obviously Wednesday. Yesterday we did have, that little bit of news in regards to US dollar and Great British pound and Canadian dollar red folder news. Going into Wednesday, we have CPI for the Australian dollar, which has already happened. And then we have Fed Powell, obviously doing his testifies at 4 p.m. US for the US dollar. So I think everything's leading up for tomorrow, which is the big one, the unemployment claims on Thursday. So we've just got to be patient, and we've got to take what we see, of course, and just make sure that we're not rushing into anything that we don't need to necessarily be involved in. So keep an eye out on that, which is again at 4 p.m. But again, the main one is tomorrow, which is the unemployment claims. So US dollar, let's start off here. One second. I'm just going to quickly show you the weekly time frame. I'm just going to talk about the weekly time frame. So if I just get rid of everything, the reason I'm going to talk about the weekly time frame is because I think I mentioned this yesterday. If you notice, obviously, was in a massive bullishness here. But if you focus on the trend that's going on, we were creating them lower lows, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, come down, create a lower low, lower high. And now we've been messing around because we're in this level of demand here, this weekly demand. But you can see that we created that lower high and we still got this lower low. Now I want you to focus on this weekly candle here because we were consolidating. This weekly candle, has popped up, taken out any highs of this, and now it seems like we're getting that movement away. So weekly for me is obviously still bearish. Now we drop to the daily. What can we see? Where we drop to the daily, you'll be able to see that, of course, that is where we had this lower high, and this is our lower low. This seems like it's a pullback, and we've tapped into, would have been a 4 hour or 1 hour supply, and now we're getting that movement away. So if we look at the daily, of course, we can talk about the fact that, let me just get into this. You can talk about the fact that we had, some fractal breaks. We had the daily lower low, lower high, lower low, higher high, obviously pull back. And now we're in this demand, which is completely valid. And this is where it can get a little bit complicated because you're thinking, okay, is the dollar going to be going down? Is the dollar going to be going up? Again, you just got to play what you see and you got to play what you think will happen. And this is where multi-time frame analysis will basically come in. So if I just go down to the 4 hour, you'll be able to see that the 4 hour is, in this demand area, and we're just kind of like consolidating as we speak. Now we look at the 4 hour trend, how we went from creating them lower lows and lower highs. Then we went up to that higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, and then we melted off. Could this now, this whole movement, this one leg, be the catapult to basically either carry on downwards, which we can expect, or is this demand level going to be where we can see some sort of movement to at least go and fill in the rest of this imbalance, and then potentially from this level of supply, potentially get that reaction, maybe to go and then create that daily lower low. Again, this is just us predicting the market and thinking, could this happen, could this not? And that's all that we can do. So let me just get rid of some of these drawings. But let's just focus on where we're at right now. We're in this level of 4 hour demand. If you remember yesterday, we talked about the fact that this is a 4 hour demand, but we were still in this downtrend here. We was creating lower highs, lower low, And then obviously, as you guys can see, we had this movement here. So this was my area of supply, this 1 hour candle. If you just follow the trend, lower low, lower high, lower low, and then we talked about the fact that we needed to see a pullback into this supply, and then from there we wanted to see obviously a movement away. So it's still the same scenario as we speak, where if we focus on where we're currently at on the 1 hour, this is our 1 hour range. This is our 1 hour range here. So if you look at it from this scenario, we're consolidating, of course, but 1 hour supply is still in control. 1 hour supply is still in control, as you can see here. 1 hour supply is still in control, and we're still predicting the sells until what? Until we break above this high. So remember, this is our lower high, this is our lower low. This is our range from here to here. So we're expecting sells downwards until we get the opposite. And then once we get the opposite and we break this high, we have a break of structure, then we can look to participate in taking this back upwards. So hopefully, you guys watching this, that makes pretty clear sense, pretty understandable as well. I've been plugging into myself for a while. But yeah, my advice for right now is just be, of course, very patient with the dollar. If you are a bit more reserved and you pick like an investor, if it buys, you're gonna wait for a break and a clear break to go and then participate in the buys, or you will most likely wait for another log to get broke. So let's say you wait for this, and then you look to participate in selling this on downwards. So let's keep an eye out on that for today, going into the US dollar, and then let's go over to the major pairs. So yesterday I give this trade idea out on here. I talked about this trade idea on here, which was Euro USD, which ended up doing a 1 to 3.5, taking out the higher high of here. What was the trade? Well, the trade was we had this range. We had this range where you can see from this area, we had this area from this demand areas where we mitigated, and then when we pulled up, you can see that we talked about a potential retracement into this demand area here. So our range was from where that is here to the bottom here. If you guys are unsure from yesterday, go and watch back the 24th of June, and you'll be able to see this trade being called out for you guys. So we dropped down to the 30 or 15, it might be a bit clearer. This level of demand here came down, tapped in, started to move away. As we moved away, we left some imbalance and also this level of demand on the 1 hour. This is where we came back into, pardon me, and this is where you can see we got that beautiful move away from tapped into the demand, and then straight away it went and broke this higher high for actually like a 1 to 5, which is pretty good going into this week. So let's get rid of that for now, and then let's just quickly go to the higher time frames. So looking at the weekly, I just really want you to focus on the weekly for now. If we follow the trend that's going on, let's focus on this. We obviously have higher low, we broke up to higher high, create a higher low, come up to create a higher high. We had this retracement. Where did we retrace to? Well, it was ugly, but you can see we filled in this imbalance here, and then we went up now and created a new higher high. But if you want, I want to focus on the individual candles. So what do I mean by that? Well, if you look at this, once we came below on the weekly and we tapped in to fill this imbalance and rebalance this market, this institutional candle gives us some volume. Now, what does this next candle do? Well, this next candle comes down to mitigate this candle and fill in that imbalance. Then we get that bullishness again. And it's the same scenario here. This candle, we have institutional candle, which, give us some volume. We have this candle, which was last week's, that come down, filled in this imbalance, and now we're getting that bullishness away again. So, I'm predicting the fact on the weekly time frame that we could still carry this on bullish. Everything's aligning from this area, and it's all pretty balanced, apart from down here. But again, that is a long, long way away. So if we focus on where we're currently at, we can see that this taps into this, filled in this imbalance, and now we're getting that bullishness going into this week. So again, that could tell us a lot. Going down to the daily time frame, same scenario. daily time frame, you can see this is where that weekly imbalance was. That's also the daily. If I just move that, you'll be able to see that that's where we filled in, and then we started to get that uptrend straight away. Now, looking at where we're currently at on the daily range, we have taken out this high, but this is our range. This is our higher low. This is our whiz. This is our higher high. This is our daily demand candle, which we mitigated, filled in this imbalance above, and this is now why we're getting this bullishness away. If you can't really see that, let me just turn off this. Look, this institutional candle here is our daily demand with imbalance above. This is where we retraced into, taps into that, and now we're getting that bullishness away. So I'm expecting bulls to still carry on. Just being truthful. Do I think we could get a pullback to rebalance this market? Yeah, we definitely could. But what can we see from a 4 hour perspective? Well, what we can see is, as of right now, we're very consolidated, like extremely consolidated. If we was to pull back, I'd expect this daily demand and 4 hour demand to be where the market could then, let's say we get this, either the daily demand or the 4 hour demand is where we're going to see, look for that daily change of 4 hour change of trend to then potentially go and carry this on onwards. So that's what I'm looking for. A lot of imbalance in the markets on the 4 hour and the 1 hour. So let's see what happens with that. In regards to the 1 hour, let me just move this. We have a new range for me, which would be from this low. In fact, no, that's wrong. From this low to this high. So this is a demand area which I think would be our next target. If you look what's going on here, that'll be my 1 hour demand. If you look what's going on here, we've not mitigated this area and we still have this slight imbalance here. Let's just make that red for now. Slight imbalance here, and we also have, a couple of these equal lows that you can see going on. So with that, could that be where we basically take out liquidity, tap into that demand area and take out and fill in that imbalance and then carry on upwards potentially. Potentially we could do that. So let's keep an eye on this area. Could we see, again, if we're going to carry on bullish, could we see a dip to then carry on? If we get the opposite where this could happen, where we break this low and we could then look for potential sell ideas to obviously carry on Euro USD downwards. So pretty simple, pretty easy to understand. Hopefully it makes sense to you guys tuning into this morning. GBP USD, let's go to the weekly time frame. To be a good investor, you need to drink coffee, man. Okay, so let's look at the GU on the weekly. On the weekly, mate, beautiful. Like absolutely beautiful. If you look at the trend that's going on from this downtrend to this uptrend, you can clearly see that higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. Very easy, higher high, higher low, higher high. You can clearly see. Now, what else sticks out to me is look how balanced this market is. Look how this area here, this is where this taps into, filled in that imbalance, taps into this demand candle, then we got that bullishness. Same scenario here. Where did that come back into? Tapped into this imbalance, rebalance it, then we get that bullishness. Where are we currently at right now? We've basically filled in all of this imbalance. We didn't tap into this, but you can see we came down. So could this now be the catapult to go and carry on upwards? And this is over and over again. If you look at it here, we come back, basically filled in an imbalance, and then we've moved away. Hopefully you guys can see this when we have this institutional candle. This comes back, fills in that imbalance, taps into that weekly demand, and then carries on. So you can see the steps that are clearly going on here. You can clearly see the weekly, uptrend, which is happening, which is, pretty nice to see, pretty easy to spot. Now going over to the daily, this is where the daily's been getting a bit, how do I say, like a bit annoying with GU because obviously if we're going off the daily time frame, we had the higher lows and high highs being created, and then we had this daily change of trend right here. But this is why it's important to do multi-analysis because even for myself, if I didn't look at the weekly time frame and I didn't see that this is a clear uptrend and I didn't see that this was a clear weekly demand candle and we had imbalance, that could tell me why this could be a reason why we need to look for longs on the buy. So looking at the daily. We've tapped above that now. I do believe that we are still going to just carry on upwards. If obviously, if Euro USD does carry on downwards, but let's just focus. I'm going to get rid of this daily supply because it's annoying me. But let's just focus on what's going on from a 4 hour perspective. Well, as you guys can see, extremely bullish. Extremely bullish to the fact of it being sorry, it being like you can't really participate in the 4 hour, which is absolutely fine as well. But you can see that we have now taken out these highs from this supply. So we're taking out both these highs here. There we go. And we've also still come back into the supply. So we've taken the highs and then we come back into the supply. So can we now see, is this going to be the part where we do get that bearishness to come in to rebalance this market? We will find out. But as of right now, nothing is clear for me on the 4 hour. If it drops to the one, what can I see? If it drops to the one, you'll be able to see that yesterday we caught this demand, but we didn't quite get that full pullback into this. If we focus on the trend on the 1 hour, we have as our this is our higher low on the 1 hour. This is our higher high on the 1 hour. So what is GBP USD doing as we speak? Well, GBP USD is doing the exact same as Euro USD. It is in a bullish range. We've got a 1 hour demand area here, and it's created all these equal lows here, which is liquidity. And we've got this imbalance. So could we again potentially see a dip to carry on from here? Or secondly, what could potentially happen is a deeper dip to tap into this demand and fill in this imbalance. So just be aware of them that this lower demand. But going off the range, this is our higher low, and this is our higher high. So again, it could be dip and then go and create that higher high. Different scenario, if that doesn't happen, obviously what we want to see is if we do get a candle closure below this low, can we then potentially look for the shorts on GU if and only if it makes sense from a dollar perspective. So very important to understand that. So that's GU. AU I'm not covering. NZUSD I'll cover. Let's see what she's doing. Same scenario. Let's go to the weekly. If you look at the weekly, you can see that the market rebalanced itself here. We come back, tapped into this imbalance, and then we moved away. And we've pretty much done the same here. On the lower time frame, there might be a little bit more of an imbalance or something that could be the reason why we want to carry on. We've got imbalance above these legs here to come and rebalance as well. If you look on Wednesday, and this candle, looks pretty strong for bullishness, this candle. If we just get rid of this, you can see that this candle does look pretty strong for bullishness. So, not as clear as like GU or EU, but let's see if we can deal with it. Now, looking at, NZ USD right now, again, a lot of guys messaged me about it. It looks clear, but it's still been very choppy. Like you can see that we did have the uptrend and then we started moving down. And then we had this big, ugly Monday candle, which, obviously came down, didn't finish, the body didn't finish low. And then we had that volume to, basically tells us that we could be seeing the bullishness. So not as clear, but if you look at the 4 hour, what can we see? Well, on the 4 hour, we can see that we had that 4 hour trend from higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. Let me just change this here. Um, sorry, not higher high. So lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. And then we had this bullishness up. Now we do have this 1 hour supply. I'm going to get rid of this daily for now. where the market is reacting from. So, obviously keep an eye on that. We do have a lot of imbalance above. So we're looking at a 1 hour perspective. What can we see? What we can see is we're still in this range here. So we've got this range. Sorry, I'm in the wrong one. Sorry, we had this range, go back from here to here. That was our range at one point where if you look, we had higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, failed to go and break a higher high, and then we had this volume down, and now the market's come back up. So what I've been waiting for patiently is understanding that there's two scenarios. This is not as nice as I would like to, participate in a trade, but the two scenarios I've been looking out for is either we get this. If the dollar's obviously bearish, we get a little pullback into this imbalance and then we carry on upwards. Or I'll be waiting for this low here to be broken with NZUSD. I'll be waiting for this low to be broken on NZUSD. And then I can look for a pullback to then participate in selling this down and rebalancing this market. So I'm going to be patient with NZUSD just for now because of the simple fact of looking at this area right now. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. But we are reacting out of this 1 hour supply. We have taken out these highs, filled in all the imbalance, which could be the catapult to basically go and carry this trend on upwards. So keep an eye on that. USD CAD, let's just have a look again at the weekly. USD CAD, again, same scenario where we've had that uptrend, then we had that downtrend. Now we are reacting out this weekly demand candle, as you guys can see. We have rebalanced this, but if you look at the actual trend that's going on, it has been bearish. So we just need to be very careful of waiting for confirmation on on a lower time frame. So what I mean by that is, if you look here, we have this as our lower high, filled in what? It filled in this area here. Hopefully you guys can see. Tapped in, almost filled into that. And then we had this bearishness away. Going back onto that, you can see that we come back down. And now we're making our way back up. Could we be seeing the market to, making a retracement to this line here to fill in this imbalance? That is my first thought, but from a weekly. But let's focus on the daily time frame. Let's focus on the daily time frame. So if we look at the daily, you can see that we got a clear downward trend. You got that lower low, lower high, and you can see that the market's just been melting away. We have just tapped in to this level of daily supply. We've filled in this imbalance here. Let me just get rid of this. And you'll be able to see that this is the imbalance that we have just tapped into. And we've just filled this daily supply candle. So could we see the market now potentially carry on down and break this new lower low? That is one scenario that could potentially happen. But again, we have to go off what the lower time frames are telling us. So when we go down to the 4, can we see the 4 hour in alignment with the daily? The daily is bearish, but if you look at the 4 hour, you can see the 4 hour's got higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. We are still bullish on the 4 hour. We've taken out this low. We've taken out this low here, as you guys can see. And now we're reacting out of this demand area to carry on upwards. So looking at this right now, if I was to drop on the 1 hour, for me, it's disgusting. It is ugly, but you can see it's clearly gone from a 1 hour downtrend to 1 hour uptrend. Obviously, but look, we've got unemployment claims tomorrow, so you have got to be very patient and just make sure that you are not being stupid in a way. If you are looking to participate in the markets, but again, you just got to go off what you see. So my range is still here. My range is still from this this higher low, pardon me, to this higher high. So with that, I'm still expecting bullishness, but, and it's a big but, what I'm waiting for is if we do get this, then obviously another change of trend, then I'll be looking to basically try and participate in the markets selling downwards. So pull back into a level of supply and then carry this on downwards. So let's wait and see with USD CAD. Now USD CHF has been a lot more cleaner, a lot more cleaner. We actually caught a bit of a trade from this area. I wish I would have held it because I would have been aiming more swing trading from this low, and it would have been a nice. Let's see what it would have been. It would have been a nice from this low around the 1 to 7 to take out this daily lower low, but it doesn't really matter. But as you guys can see, let's go to the weekly. You can see that the market's pretty much been the same as we've been speaking. We've got that bearishness, this area here. You can see we've tapped into and we filled that out. You can see lower high, lower low, lower high. This would have been a lower low on the daily, lower high on the daily, come back. You can just see that the market is constantly lower low, lower high. Now could this be the weekly, new weekly low that we're going to be, basically printing out? So we've got to keep an eye out on that. And this weekly candle as well, you can see it's clear that we are basically bearish. So let's have a look at the daily time frame. Daily time frame, pretty easy to understand. The daily time frame, 1 second. The daily time frame, you can see that we had was our lower high and this was our lower low. We've now obviously broken that, and the markets has been pretty clear. Look, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, new lower low. So pretty easy to understand from USD CHF. I'm going to mark out, pardon me, this range from this daily lower high, and then this daily lower low. Okay, first thing we notice, what do we do on a daily? We expect a pullback. So we're going to expect a pullback just like this has happened here before this movement away, just before this has happened here, then the movement away. So we always got to expect that correction phase, which goes on constantly. And if you look at the difference, look how many 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 we consolidate from this daily supply, and then 1 and 2 candles on the daily breaks the low. Same scenario here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 consolidate, 1, 2 break the lower low. It's happening over and over. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 candles, mass amount of movement. So we're probably going to expect an uptrend and a little consolidation, correction phase going on before creating a new lower low again. So looking at the market, this daily supply candle is what sticks out to me the most. This supply candle here. That's where I would like to see the market potentially come into. Now we go to the 4. You can see that I have already put a, let me just move that. I've already put a 4-hour supply candle within inside that daily supply candle. So in fact, let's move it out so it's not the same. Sorry guys, let me just make sure this is spot on. Okay, so pretty clear to understand. A lot of imbalance to refill, so we'd expect a lot of bullishness to come on. As of right now, if you look at the 1 hour, what's going on? We're consolidating. So what could happen? Let's say let's say we could look for I could look for longs carrying on those lower time frames, but also understanding that this area here would be a 1 hour supply that would give me a lot of confidence if we've broken it. So what I mean by that is, let's say I find a lower time frame entry. Let's say we get to this supply. I know that this is my next 1 hour supply candle. So that could mean that could be the next movement down. But let's say that we break that. I'm now confident enough in going, okay, we broke that next 1 hour supply. We could look to potentially looking this to long into this daily supply and potentially 4-hour supply. Hopefully that makes sense. But as of right now, for me to come in here and say, oh yeah, this is what I would do. I'm being patient. I'm being patient in regards to the big news, the unemployment claims tomorrow. So, you guys, I would always advise, even though I'm not a financial advisor, but I'd advise you guys just being patient and doing the exact same. I need to stop yawning. So yeah, man. Hopefully that makes sense in regards to USD CHF. once we get a little bit more movement, it'll be a lot more easier to predict. Going into USD Japanese yen, quickly look at the weekly. So weekly, you can see that we've always been in this downtrend, and now we've been stalling. We've been stalling in this area for weeks. It's been, are we going to break? Are we not? Are we going to break? Are we not? So it's not as nice as we would like. But if you just look at the weekly on here, you can see that this was a valid lower high. This was a valid lower low. This candle come up, taps into that imbalance a little bit, but didn't quite fill the full imbalance of that. So I could expect the market to potentially eventually, come up into filling the rest of this imbalance. Is that why we're going to get this bullishness? Maybe, maybe not. So weekly is not as nice as any of the other ones, but if you look at the daily, what can we see? Again, failed to go and tap into this, but we are in this daily supply, and this candle you can see on the daily is telling us that volume slowed down a lot, and that we could expect the market to basically now sell off. So, where am I expecting the market to potentially, if we do carry on, even though it's a horrible candle, this would be our next daily supply candle. If we was to carry on downwards, this is where I would expect the market to retrace, fill in that imbalance, and then get that next leg down. So let me have a look on the 4. 4 obviously is not going to be as clean. We have a lot of this imbalance here. So yeah, what I would like to see is if I look at for a 4 hour, for instance, I always go off 1 or 2 candles. So I'd always go off like either just this candle here as my 4 hour supply, which can bite me in the ass sometimes. Or if you're a bit picky, you can go with like let's say 2 candles here. And then all you can wait for is your confirmation of this market to retrace, give you that change of trend, and then look to participate downwards. Because if you look at the 4 hour, you can see that the 4 hour was higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, lower low, change of trend. So could we be seeing that happening now? So yeah, man, that's what I would be expecting from USD Japanese yen. Yeah, USD Japanese yen. See if we can get that into this supply area. But that's pretty much it for today, guys, for your daily market outlook. I appreciate you guys tuning in as always. Be obviously safe on the charts and make sure that you guys are not being stupid, just trying to participate for the fun of it. If you need me or to stay in contact at all, please feel free to basically follow my social media. So if you go to my YouTube bio, as I always say, I've got my Instagram in there, I've got my Telegram channel in there, and I've also got if you want to work on a one-to-one basis with me through mentorship, I've got a link in my bio which you can fill out in there as well. But other than that, guys, I appreciate you as always. It's Wednesday, so Thursday tomorrow we will be back with another daily market outlook. Show some love. Make sure you got your notifications turned on. Make sure you subscribed. Make sure you're dropping a like in this on these YouTube videos. I had a lot of messages about coming back and doing YouTube, and I just want to feel motivated for you guys to do it. If no one's dropping any comments or anything, I just feel like no one's watching. So if no one's watching, I'm not going to carry on doing it. So just show some love in the comments, and if you do enjoy it and you do appreciate these goals, and that would go a long, long way. So other than that, take care. God bless.